You've been taught to believe that being smart means being right. But the world doesn't reward right. It rewards the person who controls the room, who controls the narrative, who controls what others dare to do in their presence. That's why you keep watching less capable people rise faster than you. They aren't better. They're simply playing the real game while you're still trying to be understood. So listen carefully. In the next few minutes, you're going to receive 7 ruthless lessons Machiavelli would approve of. Lessons that don't make you nicer, or more positive, or easier to love. They make you harder to manipulate, harder to corner, harder to predict. By the end of this video, you will be able to do 3 things most people never learn. You will read motives before they're spoken, so flattery, guilt, and false concern stop working on you. You will control perception without begging for attention, so people assume strength even when you say very little. And you will make decisions without emotional leakage, so your fear, your desire, and your anger stop advertising your next move. This isn't motivation, it's an upgrade in vision. You'll learn how to weaponize silence, how to punish indirectly without looking vengeful, how to let others expose themselves while you stay clean, and how to make respect automatic without pleading for it. Because dangerously smart isn't about IQ, it's about precision. It's about knowing what humans really respond to, then moving through them like a blade through soft fabric. If you want to stop being the person who gets played and become the person others quietly fear disappointing, let's begin. The first ruthless lesson is this: never let people see what moves you. Most people leak themselves constantly. Their face reacts before their mind arrives. Their voice changes when they feel judged. Their posture collapses when they want approval. They don't realize they're broadcasting a live map of their fears and desires, so anyone with patience can control them like a handle. Machiavelli understood something brutal. The easiest way to be ruled is to be readable. If someone can predict you, they can bait you. If they can bait you, they can steer you. And if they can steer you, you are not a person, you are a lever. So you become disciplined, not cold for appearance, but controlled for survival. When you're praised, you don't glow. When you're insulted, you don't flinch. When you're challenged, you don't rush to prove yourself. You let the moment hang. You let them wonder. You let them fill the silence with their own assumptions. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. Here's what you get when you stop reacting: information. People reveal themselves when they don't get the response they expected. The manipulator grows impatient. The insecure person over-explains. The arrogant person doubles down. And while they perform, you watch calm, unreadable, collecting data. This is how you become dangerously smart. You turn every interaction into a test they don't realize they're taking. Someone throws a subtle insult to see if you'll accept the lower position. Don't defend. Don't joke back. Just look at them long enough to make them feel the weight of what they tried. Then change the subject as if it wasn't worth your time. You didn't win an argument. You rewrote the hierarchy. Your emotions are not your enemy. They're your private intelligence. But the moment you display them publicly, they become someone else's tool. Control your reaction, and you control the tempo. Control the tempo, and you control the game. The second ruthless lesson is this: control the frame, or you will be trapped inside someone else's story. Most people think power is dominance, volume, force, confidence. But the sharpest operators rarely fight on the surface. They decide what the situation means before anyone else does. And once the meaning is set, the outcome becomes predictable. That is framing. If someone labels you too intense, and you rush to soften yourself, you just accepted their authority to define you. If they call you lucky, and you start listing your hard work, you just begged for recognition inside their frame. If they accuse you of being selfish, and you panic to prove you're good, you've already lost. They moved the battlefield into your guilt. Machiavelli's mind works differently. He doesn't argue inside the box. He changes the box. You do it with calm, simple language that refuses their premise. You don't say, "I'm not intense." You say, "I'm precise." You don't say, "It was luck." You say, "I'm consistent." You don't say, "I'm not selfish." You say, "I have standards." Notice what happened. You didn't defend. You renamed. You took authorship. Here's the promise of this lesson. Once you learn to control the frame, you stop needing permission to be respected. People begin adjusting to you, instead of you adjusting to them, and it goes deeper. Framing is also how you protect yourself from manipulation disguised as morality. People will try to control you by painting your boundaries as cruelty, your ambition as arrogance, your silence as hostility. The weak always do this. They weaponize virtue to keep you small. So, you make your frame non-negotiable. Your choices are not a debate panel. Your time is not a public resource. Your attention is earned. When someone demands an explanation, give them a verdict. I've decided. That doesn't work for me. We're not doing that. No apology, no story, no opening for negotiation. Explanations invite cross-examination. Verdicts end the trial. Control the frame, and you control what people think they're allowed to ask of you. And when people can't define you, they can't easily control you. The third ruthless lesson is this. Make people invest first, because investment creates loyalty, and loyalty creates leverage. Most people chase commitment the wrong way. They give too much too soon. They over-deliver to prove value. They offer access, attention, favors, forgiveness, then wonder why they're taken for granted. Machiavelli would call this a predictable mistake. You're teaching people that you can be extracted from. In every relationship, social, romantic, professional, there is an invisible ledger, not of money, of effort, risk, and emotional cost. Whoever pays more while receiving less becomes the servant. Whoever pays less while receiving more becomes the ruler. So you reverse the flow. You stop auditioning. You stop persuading. You stop earning your place through free labor. Instead, you create small tests that force investment. You ask for a clear commitment before you give your time. You require follow-through before you offer deeper access. You make them show reliability before you show loyalty. This is not cruelty. This is filtration. Here's the promise. Once you apply this, low-value people remove themselves from your life without a fight. And high-value people respect you more because they can feel you're not desperate to be chosen. Watch how the psychology works. When someone invests, whether it's time, effort, or risk, their mind must justify it. They begin to see you as worth it, because admitting otherwise would make them feel foolish. This is how attachment forms, not from your performance, but from their participation. That's why the fastest way to be valued is not to give more. It's to make your presence cost something. If someone wants access to you, let them earn it with consistency. If someone wants your help, let them state their plan first. If someone wants your forgiveness, let them demonstrate change instead of begging for a reset. And if someone gives you nothing but expects everything, you don't argue, you don't explain. You simply reduce access, quietly, cleanly, without drama. Because the most brutal punishment is not anger, it's absence. Make people invest first, and you'll never again confuse attention with respect. You'll know who's real, because real people pay the price of proximity willingly. The fourth ruthless lesson is this. Never fight for position in public. Make others volunteer it to you. Weak minds announce their authority. Strong minds arrange it. When you argue loudly, you look uncertain. When you demand respect, you reveal you're not getting it. When you correct people compulsively, you show that being seen as right matters more to you than being seen as powerful. Machiavelli's approach is colder. He doesn't chase status. He engineers situations where status is granted. Here's how. First, you stop competing on the obvious battlefield. The obvious battlefield is where amateurs live debates, clout, emotional displays, public dominance rituals. Winning there costs too much and pays too little, because even if you win, you look like someone who needed to win. Instead, you move to the hidden battlefield: access, scarcity, and alignment. Access: who gets your time? Scarcity: how rarely you are available. Alignment: who you publicly associate with. People determine rank by observing what you tolerate, what you prioritize, and who you stand beside. So you become surgical with all three. You don't argue with disrespect. You make it irrelevant. If someone tries to diminish you in a group, don't rush to correct them. Let their attempt hang in the air, then respond with calm indifference like they just spoke out of turn, not like they landed a hit. The group reads your lack of urgency as strength. Their insecurity becomes visible. Yours does not. Then you do the real move. You redirect the group's attention. Ask a sharper question. Make a decisive statement. Shift the energy. Leaders don't win exchanges, they control where the spotlight goes. Here's the promise. Once you learn this, you stop burning energy, proving yourself, and people begin treating you as the reference point. Not because you demanded it, but because your behavior makes it the most logical choice. Remember this. Public conflict makes two people look small. One for attacking, one for defending. So you don't defend, you elevate. And in a world addicted to noise, the person who stays composed becomes the one everyone quietly obeys. The fifth ruthless lesson is this. Strike indirectly because direct confrontation creates enemies, but indirect pressure creates obedience. Most people only know two modes, submit or explode. They either tolerate disrespect until it poisons them, or they retaliate in a way that exposes them. Both are predictable, and anything predictable can be managed. Machiavelli teaches a third mode, consequence without confession. You don't need to announce punishment. You don't need to explain your disappointment. You don't need to clear the air. You simply alter reality around the person so their behavior becomes expensive. This is the art of invisible discipline. Someone undermines you, you don't argue. You remove their access to opportunities you control. Someone disrespects you, you don't react. You downgrade their proximity, publicly neutral, privately final. Someone plays games with your time, you stop being available on demand. You become scheduled, scarce, and unbothered. Here's the promise. When you learn indirect strikes, you stop creating drama and start creating patterns. People feel the change. They feel the distance. They feel the loss. And because you never declared war, they can't rally others against you. They can only adjust. This is why indirect pressure is so powerful. It forces self-correction. A direct attack gives them a villain to fight. An indirect consequence gives them a mirror. And there's a deeper layer. Indirect strikes protect your image. You remain reasonable to the crowd, while the target experiences the full weight of your boundary. Your hands look clean. Your results are not. But discipline requires one thing most people don't have: restraint. You must resist the emotional payoff of confrontation. You must resist the need to be understood. Because the moment you explain, you turn consequence into negotiation. You give them a doorway back into your time. So you let silence do the work. You let absence teach the lesson. You let the world rearrange itself around your standards until people either align or disappear. That is ruthless intelligence, not rage, not revenge control. The sixth ruthless lesson is this. Let people underestimate you, then make their mistake expensive. Most people are addicted to being recognized. They want to be seen as competent, strong, dangerous, important. So they advertise themselves. They correct every misunderstanding. They rush to display value before anyone asked. That hunger is a leash. Because the moment you need to be perceived a certain way, others can control you by threatening that perception. They can bait you into proving yourself. They can provoke you into reacting. They can deny you credit just to watch you scramble. Machiavelli's intelligence is quieter. He uses misjudgment as a weapon. If they think you're harmless, they relax. If they think you're naive, they speak freely. If they think you're not a threat, they show you their real methods. Underestimation is access. So you don't rush to correct it. You don't force your depth on shallow minds. You let them step closer. You let them reveal their strategy. You let them commit to the version of you they invented. And then when it matters, you move. Here's the promise. When you master this, you stop wasting energy on constant self-presentation, and you start collecting advantages other people hand you willingly. Their arrogance becomes your intelligence source. But there's a rule. You must choose the moment. You don't prove them wrong in petty ways. You don't show your full capability for applause. You wait until a decision point, money, influence, status, control, something irreversible. Then you deliver a result so clean that it rewrites their assumptions permanently. The power isn't in surprising them. The power is in controlling when they learn. And when they finally realize what you are, it's too late to adjust because they already exposed themselves, already dismissed you, already built plans that didn't include your resistance. Let them underestimate you. It's the cheapest camouflage in the world, and the most profitable. The seventh ruthless lesson is this: never reveal your full plan. Reveal just enough to make others move. Most people think transparency is virtue. They believe explaining themselves makes them trustworthy, and being understood makes them safe. It doesn't. It makes them predictable. And predictability is the currency predators spend. Machiavelli's mind treats information like ammunition. You don't display it, you place it. You don't hand people the blueprint of your intentions. You give them a reason to behave the way you want. Here's how dangerously smart people operate. They speak in outcomes, not process. They don't say, "Here's everything I'm thinking." They say, "Here's what's happening." They don't say, "I'm considering these options." They say, "I've chosen my direction." Because the moment you show your uncertainty, the crowd rushes in to help, to advise, to influence, to dilute your decision until it serves them. So you keep your strategy private. You share only what creates alignment, prevents resistance, or buys you time, nothing else. If you want support, you reveal the part that makes them feel included. If you expect sabotage, you reveal the part that makes sabotage pointless. If you need silence, you reveal nothing at all and move in the dark. Here's the promise. When you master selective revelation, people stop interfering with your life. They stop trying to steer you. They stop treating your future like a community project. You become harder to obstruct because they can't see where to place the obstacle. And there's a final advantage. When you say less, others speak more. They speculate, they fill gaps, they project motives, they expose fears, they betray their intent, just trying to understand yours. Meanwhile, you remain the only person in the room who actually knows what's coming. That is not paranoia. That is sovereignty. Because in the real world, the person who controls information controls movement, and movement becomes power. Subscribe and like if you're ready to stop being readable and start being inevitable. Initiation favors the disciplined.